A long, long, long time ago, the world was a very cold place. And Fox, most of all, was cold. Of all the animals, he was always shivering. And one day he thought to himself, in this whole wide world, there must be something that would keep me warm. And then he saw his friend Goose flying overhead. And he shouted up, "Goose, Goose, come down here." And so Goose came down and said, "Hello." And Fox said, "Goose, Goose, take me flying. Take me flying with you. I have to see the world. I need to find something." And Goose said, "Okay, but I can make you some magic wings, but they only work if you keep your eyes closed. Do you promise to keep your eyes closed?" And Fox said, Okay. And so Goose went over to Cedar Tree and said, Cedar Tree, can I have some branches?" And Cedar Tree said, "Okay." And Goose went over to the beehive and said, Bees, can I have some wax?" And the bee said, "Bzzz, yes." And so he took the wax and he took the branches from the cedar tree and he made magic wings for Fox. And he strapped them onto Fox's back. And he said, "Now remember, Fox, no opening your eyes." And so Fox said, "Okay." And Goose said, "Grab a hold of my tail with your mouth, my tail feathers." "Okay." And so Fox was very obedient. And Goose started to flap his wings extra hard. And Fox could feel himself lifting up. He was flying and it was amazing, but he had to keep his eyes closed, which was not what he had in mind. But he went with it anyway. And they flew all the way to the north. And they flew all the way to the south. And they flew all the way to the east. And they flew all the way to the west. They went everywhere, and it was all cold. Nothing was warming up Fox. And then the sun was starting to go down, and they were flying, and all of a sudden, it was almost dark, and Fox felt something on his face, a warmth. And he felt a flicker on his closed eyes, and he said, "What's that?" And he opened his eyes and he fell straight to the earth because the magic wings stopped working. So there he was. And there was a big bonfire. And all around the bonfire were thousands of little fireflies running around. And this was their secret. They were inside Firefly Lodge. And there were tall walls all around the lodge. And the fireflies were huddled together around their fire, and it was the warmest place Fox had ever been. And Fox said, "I've got to get this fire out of here. I got to take it home with me." And so Fox hatched an idea, and he went over to Cedar Tree, who was growing outside the lodge, and he said, Cedar Tree, reach down here and let me have a branch." And so he took off the branch, and he broke it in half. And he tied one half to his tail, and with the other half of the branch, he fashioned a drum. And do you know something? That was the first drum in the whole world ever. Fox, right then and there, invented the drum. And he took the drum over to the fireflies, and he said, "Look what I brought you. I brought you a drum." Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And Fox showed those fireflies how to pound on the drum. And all those little fireflies started jumping on the drum. Bum, 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 bum. And all the fireflies were having so much fun jumping on the drum and dancing around and having a firefly party that they completely forgot about Fox. And so Fox realized now was his chance. So he backed up to the fire and he stuck that bushy tail with the cedar branch tied to it right into the fire. And wouldn't you know it, that cedar tail lit on fire, that cedar tree branch lit on fire. And Fox ran over to the edge of the fortress and said, Cedar Tree, bend down and get me out of here. And Cedar Tree said, okay. And so the cedar tree bent down and reached out a branch, and Fox grabbed a hold, and Cedar Tree went, pew, and Fox went flying out of the lodge. And off he went, tail on fire, because now all the branch had burned away, and his tail was burning. And so Fox ran to the north, and he ran to the south, and he ran to the east, and he ran to the west. And everywhere he ran, fire spread. Just like that, all around the world. Fire, 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 fire. Everything was on fire. Everything changed when we learned about fire. We learned about consuming, about consumption, about burning. And we're still burning. We're still consuming in every direction. I dream of a world where we remember the web of life and our connection to the natural world. I dream of a world where we recognize our consumption is out of balance. I dream of a world where we each step closer to a life in balance with nature. I read not long ago this theory, and it started by telling an image of early men and women sleeping under the stars and being in a place of awe and in a place of relationship to all that is, and how that place must have changed as we moved into cities and towns, moved indoors, and how it really shifted when artificial light became the norm, how artificial light began to block our connection to the stars, how the pollution of light in the sky blinded us to our place in the universe. The theory is that this disconnection from the enormity of the cosmos is actually a dis-ease. It is a root of one of our problems. It is a thing that helped us to grow our ego, our sense of person, so large that we've lost our connection to community, our sense of responsibility to each other, our sense of responsibility to our children and to our elders. I dream of a world that centers every child, where every child, not just our children, not just our community's children, but where every child is valued as the most important thing, where we are planning for their future and for the future of their children and their children's children, where we understand our responsibility to the 7 generations to come. I dream of a world where our elders are held with honor. I dream of a world where there are no more nursing homes, where every elder is held by community until their last day on earth. I dream of a world where every person is valued for their uniqueness, not their conformity. I dream that one day I'll die. I dream that when that day happens, it's peaceful, and that I can go there without fear. This morning I woke up with a cold, a little bit of nasal drip, and in these strange times, thoughts like, will I be here tomorrow? Will this cold be the end of me? Cross my mind. And I think I'll probably be here tomorrow and the day after. But there is one thing I am certain of. I am in a state of decomposition. Every day I'm a little older. Certainly every day death is a little closer. I dream of a world where I can walk with that knowledge, with joy in my heart, with a constant remembering of the inevitability of that fact. I'm grateful for Seattle. I'm grateful to call this place home. It is the city I choose to be in for as long as I can imagine. Aho.